Welcome to the Victor and Reseda podcast, where we talk about all things automotive and the goings on here at Victor and Reseda. We're your hosts. I'm George Torline.
And I'm Randy Stern.
And this is episode 13, and we have a great lineup on our show today. Our guest today is automotive photographer Alex Bellus, and we'll have highlights from the 2026 Midwest Automotive Media Association Rally. We'll have vehicles that we've been testing lately, and we'll check on our long-term vehicles that we own to see how they're holding up. And we'll be playing rental car roulette. We'll see what I ended up with. But first, we had a little bit of a celebration.
We certainly did. At the end of the last episode, we were kind of celebrating online our 15th anniversary. So what we decided to do was to invite our friends from here in the Twin Cities to what we call the Clubhouse, which is Joey Nova's Pizzeria, located in Tonka Bay, which is west of the Twin Cities. One of our favorite places. We've been going there for eons now. We had some friends over. Some even brought their kids. It was fun. And George surprised me with something.
Well, you can't have a celebration without a cake.
Yeah. It's sort of a tradition of ours, to have a cake in one of our celebrations at least. We used to have cakes when we were celebrating Voties.
Yeah, it's just too bad we can't eat a lot of cake at this point in our lives.
No, especially me. So here's what we did. There were a lot of kids around us that didn't belong to our party. So what do? We delivered the rest of the cake to all the other tables around us. And hopefully not a major sugar rush on that one.
But I think we won some friends.
Yeah, I think we did. Amazing how cake does things to kids. And to adults as well.
It's bonding.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
So it was nice to be able to formally celebrate that as a milestone. And we couldn't do it without you, the viewers, and people who interact with us. And we appreciate that.
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll have some more type of celebrations. If you're in the Twin Cities, look us up. Seriously. I would love to show you around town, get you a little bit behind the scenes. No guarantees on that one, but you get the idea.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next, every spring, we participate in the Midwest Automotive Media Association's Spring Rally Automotive Media event.
Mm-hmm.
And that is out in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Of course, at Road America. Great facility. And of course, I'm repping one of their shirts. They got great swag in their gift shop at the paddock. Can't miss that. You got racetracks. You got off-road tracks. We had an street drives, all kinds of ways you can experience over 80 vehicles that were brought in for us to test out.
Yeah. And, whenever I talk about Road America to some of our motorsports friends, they didn't even know there's an off-road course there.
And this time around, they had a ATV course.
Yes, because Can-Am showed up as well. They were looking for content creators to, push their products as well. They figured, hey, want to tap in our media association, and some people bit.
But we drove vehicles from many manufacturers. I mean, if you go down through the list, Acura, BMW, Cadillac, Chevrolet, Dodge, GMC, Honda, Lexus, Lucid, Mazda, Mercedes, Benz, Mitsubishi, Subaru, Toyota, Volvo, and we probably forgot some.
Yeah, Subaru.
Did
we mention that?
I think I did. Maybe
Okay.
I did, but
Like I said, they've had most of the brands represented. So that kind of helped us to take a look at vehicles that we normally don't get on a regular basis in our workflow.
And they had the WRX-TS queued up for the racetrack. So I had to do that. That was probably one of the first things I did, is hop in that and warmed up on the racetrack.
Oh, yeah. I saw you jump in that and just go on your lap.
Yeah, it's just like how I remembered it when we had the same vehicle.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Also, you had several vehicles that you took to the track.
Yeah, they had a nice assortment of vehicles, and they were vehicles that I have not had a chance to experience before. So those were ones I've always wanted to try. And one of them was, I'm ashamed to say it, I've never experienced the Mazda Miata.
Gasp.
I know. It's like, what is wrong? It's way overdue. So definitely got to experience that for the very first time with the top down, being able to take that out. So I'm able to punch my V card on that one. And not only that, but gosh, I think I could punch it again for being able to experience it out on the track.
The top down. I didn't realize they were allowing that, number one.
As long as you had the helmet with the face guard down,
Okay.
you can do that.
That's what I thought.
And the type of helmets they're using, you can do that.
Oh, yeah. That's what I thought. Took you 4 generations.
I know. Well,
4 generations to get to a Miata.
So I can punch my V card on that.
There
Okay.
you go.
And also driving it on the racetrack at Road America. That's another punch.
Okay. What else did you take to the track? You could punch your V card again.
Well, I also drove, one of my things I wanted to do was drive a Hellcat. So I got to drive the Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat Jailbreak out on the track at Road America. So that was my first Hellcat experience. So for the drive a Hellcat, my V card is checked on that one too.
Oh, wow.
And onto the track. That calls for another punch of the V card.
Well, it's kind of funny that you put these SUVs on the track. I mean, I remember my first Mama Spring Rally where I got thrown in the back seat of a Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT. And I will admit, it's pretty scary because it's tall, even though it's lower ground clearance. And they say, oh, well, these are built for track use. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, going through some of the turns and chicanes, it was a little bit of a handful. It wasn't a Miata experience, but when you laid on the throttle, very different result. Just boom, down the road it went. So.
Gotcha.
But what did you drive?
Okay, so I didn't do any track work. I did mainly on the street. But right off the bat, speaking of Stellantis, 2026 Dodge Charger RT Plus. So this is a 4-door with standard output Hurricane twin turbo inline 6, which is also known as a 6-pack. So it was my first experience with the gas engine Charger. And I'll tell you what, I think I like it.
We need to bring one in for further evaluation.
We need one, especially the standard output. They had a high output version, which is the 500 plus horsepower version. And honestly, this 420 horsepower version feels real good.
And I rode with you on that drive, and I could tell you really enjoyed it.
Yeah, big old smile on my face. I know it's something about Stellantis vehicles, something about Mopars, come to think of it. Another vehicle that I drove was a very interesting one. It's a 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali. Now, what's so special about this luxury pickup truck? It's powered by the Duramax turbocharged inline 6-cylinder diesel. And I'll tell you what, you could feel that 495 pound-feet of torque when you put your foot, when you need to get uphill, when you need to haul. Oof, that is the engine to get. But as everybody will tell you, have you seen diesel fuel prices lately?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is worth the pain of paying $5-6 a gallon just to feel that 495 pound-feet of torque, especially when you're towing 9,000 to 13,000 pounds behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very nice luxury pickup. I mean, I've always appreciated the GMC Denali, although this is not the top of the line anymore.
Oh?
Yes, they introduced last year called the Denali Ultimate.
Ooh.
Which means that the Super Cruise that was optional on this pickup truck that I drove at Mama Spring Rally is standard with 3 years service via OnStar One.
Nice. Okay.
Sounds like a commercial, but believe me, it's one of those things that just ingrained in your head.
Yeah.
So I didn't punch my V card there.
Oh, okay.
Let's change venues for a moment. And you went off-road, and you off-roaded in something very interesting.
Well, yeah, it's certainly the trend these days to find vehicles that have a trim that's designed for more trail ready or off-road ready right from the factory. And Mitsubishi now has a trim for their Outlander that caters to that kind of experience.
Yes, it's called a Trail Edition.
Yeah, so took it out on the off-road course at Road America, which had all the different hills and dips and puddles that you can splash on, and it did fine. The power delivery was very linear and very controlled that you would want at that kind of experience, and I enjoyed that.
And we're going to be talking more about a Mitsubishi Outlander, a different one than the Trail Edition, a little bit later on.
That's right, because we just had one recently, yes.
Exactly.
Anything else about the Spring Rally you want to talk about?
Well, there was one thing I needed to do while I was out at Road America. A friend of mine was murdered 2 years ago. and he was a big cog in our local car community. So Erik Berger had a bench that was along the race walk, which was across from the paddock shop. And I would keep hearing about this bench that was made in his honor. So I was there and I went to see it and had my final goodbye with him, something I never was able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And to the Berger family, if you're listening or watching, we did our best to honor your son. And so glad we did when we saw that bench of his.
That bench really looked nice too. They really did a nice job.
Absolutely. I remember seeing the rendering of what it would look like, and that helped in locating the right one. So,
yeah, so it's a sad situation.
mm-hmm.
Let's move on. So vehicles we worked with recently, and we mentioned the Mitsubishi Outlander.
Absolutely. Now, this is not the Trail Edition that we work with. This is the SEL with the premium package. So kind of a little bit opposite there. The one thing it had shared with the Trail Edition that you drove was it has the new mild hybrid driveline. So it consists of a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. So this is from the Eclipse Cross. And what they added was a 48 volt mild hybrid electric system to it. So it raises the torque to 206 pound-feet. It's interesting because you and I had different takes on this vehicle. I thought it was very comfortable. I thought it rode quite well, nice quiet. So I took it on a longer trip, went up Pine City, which is about an hour drive, and was there for an event. And it did quite well on the highways, especially when I put it in My Pilot, which is their driver assistance program. Locked it in on highways, really perfectly in the lane. To me, it was really nice. It was a really nice specification. But your experience was a little bit different.
Well, I wasn't using any type of cruise control types of things. I was just driving it on the highway and around town here. It does kind of an interesting thing, especially noticeable on the highway when you're trying to maintain a certain speed, that it will apply power fine, but as soon as you let up on the throttle, it really decelerates quickly. And I found that it was hard to get it to modulate sometimes when you're just wanting to let off on the throttle just a little bit, just to slow down just a little bit, that it just would just want to slow down much more quickly. And I couldn't quite figure out if it was the hybrid system that was trying to regenerate some power or what exactly was going on there. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I remembered back to the first Outlander that we had. It just kind of feels solid. Feels like you're riding in a vehicle of substance. And that's kind of, I think, what people expect out of their SUVs.
Yeah, especially today when they're expecting the smaller SUVs to ride like a larger SUV because they're doing a lot more. And of course, it's the market right now. It's a hot segment. A lot of volume is being sold there. And there's a lot of competitors across the board in that space.
So a late addition to our vehicle schedule was the 2026 Ford Ranger XLT.
Yes, indeed. It's interesting about this truck because it's in the midsize pickup truck segment. And right now, there's only a few players. However, there's been talk of more players coming by 2030, not just a Hyundai, Kia. Ram is about to introduce a new midsize. But the Ford Ranger has been around for quite a long time. Yeah. So it was introduced in 82 originally, and then they stopped production at St. Paul in 2011. Then Ford brought it back around 2019 in the new international version, which has been pretty successful. And we've had the midsize refresh going back to 23. So this one is an interesting specification. So it's XLT, which is their more popular, more volume trim. We got it in the Sport Appearance package, which has darker features, black grille, wheels, whatnot, stickers, cloth interior. The only thing is that it has the EcoBoost V6 underneath the hood.
Yeah, we had that option.
Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I jumped into it thinking, oh, it's just going to be a boring truck. I liked it.
Mm-hmm. Why did you like it?
Well, gosh, I don't know. I think maybe, the seats were comfortable. It rode nice. It drove nice. The power delivery was nice. It had just the things that you needed, not a lot of extra complicated things about it. So it was a very kind of an analog driving experience, even though it has the digital display and all that. But still, it felt very organic in its approach, and I really appreciated it.
I think the upgraded V6 really helped its cause. I mean, even though the turbocharged four-cylinder that's standard is a good engine, it's a really strong engine. But here you have 7,500 pounds of towing capacity. You have about 1,500 pounds of payload, which is interesting that the four-cylinder has more payload by about maybe 200 pounds.
That is interesting, yeah.
It is interesting. Yet still, it's one of those where this is somewhere between a contractor special or a guy who's a freelancer who goes on a construction site and is not driving sort of a fleet or work spec, which is the XL. So it's a very interesting specification we got.
Yeah, just kind of a last minute change.
Exactly.
And now we have a Volkswagen Atlas.
Yes. Now, let me preface this. You probably have heard and you've probably seen that Volkswagen is introducing a new generation model later this year for 2027. Or we have never worked with the Peak Edition, which is a more ruggedized version of their 3-row SUV. So same specification across the board. It's got the EA888 engine. It's 4-motion all-wheel drive. It's got, again, 3 rows of seats. The only difference is that specific wheels, all-terrain tires, and some specific badging.
You got an off-road mode.
Again, we also differ on things. I thought it was a little bit more okay. I mean, I guess I'm used to the Atlas. I've driven more Atlases over the years and kind of get used to it. And yes, they didn't alter the suspension to make it more off-roady than it is. It's just an appearance package that's built off the SC trim with the all-terrain tires and called it a day, almost.
Pretty much. I think in the drive mode for the off-road, they probably changed some of the logic that goes into the powertrain and how it's delivering power. We didn't delve too much into it yet, but as we just have it now. So that's kind of the common trend where we're seeing manufacturers are doing these trail versions with making it a little bit more ruggedy by putting these all-terrain tires on, which, you know, if you're going to go off-road and utilize that, that's great. But if you're just going to be on the pavement and be a pavement princess all the time, that may not be the right trim for you.
Exactly. And that's the thing is you really don't need a rugged version of an SUV. If all you're doing is taking the kids to school, going to work, going out after work with your family, your friends and whatnot, you don't need that. It looks cool. It looks like you may be parking next to a Wrangler or a Bronco or something like that, and that would be your cool factor, and your flex, but you don't need it. I mean, there's several other trims in the Volkswagen Atlas lineup that will satisfy you, that gives you the same space, same performance, and, of course, a much quieter ride.
And that's true for other manufacturers as well when it comes to comparing these off-road trims and trail-rated trims compared to their other trims. So it really depends on what your intended use is going to be.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, now I can't wait for the 27 Atlas. I'm looking forward to seeing the new interior, of course, with the new exterior. And of course, they remapped the engine. So same engine, but it's a new power band. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty cool vehicle when that comes out.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about an update to our long-term fleet. So 3 vehicles that we've been tracking our ownership, seeing how well it's been treating us. So different levels of usage on each of those. So first, let's talk about the 2021 Mazda CX-5, or affectionately known as our V&R machine that we share. And it's got 47,686 miles on it at this point. Service work done to it since the last podcast. We did have an oil change done on it, as well as fluids changed out for the differentials and the transmission. Also checked the AC and topped off the AC, so we're good to go for piling a lot of miles on this guy. One thing that was found during the oil change analysis was an elevated amount of aluminum, just a little bit. So we're watching that closely to make sure that's not a sign of something more serious potentially happening. So hopefully it isn't, but we're about due for another oil change, and we'll submit the oil analysis for that and see if it continues.
Well, there was a theory, sort of, and it would be interesting what this next oil analysis is going to come up, because what we found with the aluminum that was in the oil was a possibility that we were using E15 fuel. which is 88 octane, but there's 15% ethanol in there. So there was some forums that were floating out there that said, please don't use that on any Mazda engine.
Yeah, because apparently Mazdas aren't good for anything above E10. So that would rule out E15. So we're just concerned that we might have some elevated wear metals, either from the rings or journals, things like that. So we'll keep an eye out.
Absolutely. But we have done some corrective actions since that last analysis, is that we're strictly putting in 87 octane, no more than 10% ethanol. And it's been responsive, a little bit better, actually.
Yeah, it's been purring like a kitten down the road. I've noticed that since we did the fluid changes, it's been smoother. So Absolutely. It's been kind of humming down the road, and it's been great.
There was also another thing that you did to the CX-5 as well.
Right. So we noticed that, particularly after the change out from the winter tires to the summer tires, that it had more of a tendency to want to pull to the left. And it's interesting that it happened during tire change. But, we swapped the tires around in case we had a tire or two that was just providing more drag than the other, and checked the tire pressures and all that. And nothing really made a difference there. So brought it in, had a four-wheel alignment done, and they did find some alignment issues there. So they just kind of tightened that up a little bit, and that helped a little bit too. So with all the potholes we had this winter, it's just not a surprise that your alignment can get knocked out of whack a little bit.
Now, if they could fill those potholes, it'll be a lot better out there for the Mazda and all of our vehicles that we work with.
You're asking for a lot, I think, but
I know. Mayor Herr, do us a favor in St. Paul and fill those potholes.
Yeah. Do what Mondani's doing in New York.
He's doing them himself, too.
I know.
Yeah.
That's leading by example.
Exactly. Actually, the previous mayor in St. Paul, he actually did plow the streets during winter, which, give Melvin Carter some credit for that.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, the 2019 Volkswagen Golf R. So that usually doesn't see a lot of usage, but I decided I had a road trip that I needed to take to Wichita, Kansas. And this was in March. And we had some interesting weather kind of going through. So it was a choice. Would I take that or the CX-5? And the weather system was unique in that it was very much a low pressure system that generated a lot of wind. And of course, I always had strong head and crosswinds on this trip. It's just kind of my luck for the most part. But I took the Golf R because it did better at handling those high winds, all-wheel drive, winter tires. As long as I didn't go through deep snow, it would be fine. So I did have to delay my trip back because Interstate 35 was closed because of the harsh conditions of blowing snow and deep snow. But by the time I went through there, that was cleared out. It was epic as far as how it did going down and back on that trip. The seat comfort is great. The performance is great. And so it really made me just fall back in love with the Golf R and spend quality time with it. And something I just need to do more of. I need to drive that car more. But
I do agree.
Yeah, we've got so many vehicles to drive, so it's hard to drive them all.
Exactly.
But it's been great. Now, the 1976 Jeep CJ7. So that was moved from one storage facility to another, and a bit of a surprise. I knew that it had a gas hose that needed to be replaced under the hood, and I did that, and it was fine. Started it up and took it out, let it warm up a bit. Suddenly, it was making a loud hissing sound, and all this white smoke was belching out of it. And it's like, what's going on? Very unexpected, very abrupt. It wasn't gradual. It just sudden, which is completely unexpected to me. So some thoughts I had was, well, maybe I had like a cracked intake manifold or something like that may have happened, being it's in unconditioned outdoor in a garage, but just not conditioned storage. It's going to have those cold winter temperatures that's exposed to. So had it towed to a repair facility that works with, and they looked in the exhaust system and they found a big stash of acorns.
Wow.
So yeah, the exhaust system was plugged up. So it's like, okay, so they took apart the exhaust system, replaced the catalytic converter and some of the fittings underneath there so it can flow properly. But it also needed, and something I've been always wanting to get done, was a carburetor rebuild because the carburetor leaked gas, something fierce. And it always made me nervous. So I was like, all right, let's get that done at the same time too. Along with that, to help with the fuel delivery, it needed a fuel pump. So they added that. Ran pretty good. And I kind of wanted to get the fuel gauge fixed because it wasn't recording fuel anymore. It just kind of suddenly stopped. Other gauges in the cluster of the speedometer and the temperature gauge for the coolant, those were all working still. So it's like, okay, so I had to investigate that. It was the float and the sending mechanism in the tank stopped working. So they replaced that. So picked up the vehicle and was bringing it to the next storage facility and got a couple miles down the road and the engine died.
Mm-hmm.
So and Randy was trailing behind me, thankfully. So I got stopped. We're at a stoplight. It just died. It's like, what is going on? I couldn't restart it. Randy played interference for me from traffic from behind. I pushed it off onto the adjoining road. Couldn't get it started. Contacted the shop that did the work. They took a look at it. They brought it back to their shop. They added fuel to it, and it started up. Like, well, wait a minute. I got like quarter of a tank on the gas gauge, so it shouldn't have been low on fuel, but it was. So apparently they didn't get the calibration right with the sending unit for the fuel gauge. So they fixed that up and put gas in it and filled it up. It went to full, and we'll see how it goes as it draws down fuel.
One thing we've learned from the experience with the CJ7 is not a lot of people are doing carburetor work anymore.
What's a carburetor?
Exactly. So when we were trying to find a place to get the CJ7 serviced, a lot of the people that we know won't even touch a carburetor. They've moved on, or they'll tell you that they usually work on newer vehicles. Since you got the CJ7 back, I did talk to someone who is a Jeep owner, an older Jeep owner. And a lot of his vehicles, most of his vehicles, have carburetors. So he gave me a lead on a place to get the next service done if need be. The only catch is about an hour and a half up. Or an hour. Yeah.
That's a little bit of a haul, but okay, well, good to know.
Yeah, exactly. So just an FYI.
Yeah, well, hopefully we won't need to do that, but that's good to know that there's another resource.
If you're listening to this podcast and you know of anyone that does carburetor work, do us a favor and put a comment below if you're on YouTube. And also you can message us as well at info@victoryandreseda.net. I think this is a good time to promote our stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. We appreciate this. Make sure you click like, subscribe, and a notification bell to find out when the next video comes out, whether it's a review, whether it's a podcast, whether it's some other content we decide to throw out there on the page. Also, we do a lot of written work, and you can read everything at victoryandreseda.net. Just have to click on the articles, read reviews, read histories, read everything. Now, also, if you're not on our socials, we are on Facebook and Instagram right now.
Yeah, that's right. And just to kind of tie up this conversation about the Jeep, one thing it does still need is kind of a little bit of an idle adjustment when it's warm, and I think I'm going to try to tackle that. So I've been reading up on a particular carburetor I have. I think it's a 2100 Motorcraft or something like that, but I'll have to tinker with that when I get time, but that's kind of at a premium.
A Motorcraft on an AMC V8.
Go figure.
Go figure.
So not long ago, I did another trip to Phoenix, which means it was another spin on the rental car roulette. So
yes.
I've been using Sixt lately, Sixt, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came time to picking the vehicle in their app, so I had two choices, but ironically, this time they were actually the vehicle that I expected to get when I rented. So this time around, I selected to get their 2 Series vehicle, and I had a choice of 2 different 2 Series coupes. They were both, I believe, non-X-Drive, front-wheel drive versions, and I think the mileage was the only difference between the two. So I picked the one with the lower mileage.
So essentially what you got was a 2026 BMW 228 Grand Coupe, which is the 4-door hatchback The ironic thing about this vehicle is that we expect our BMWs to be front engine, rear wheel drive, as Munich intended. However, this one, front wheel drive, shares the same platform as the X1, the X2, and the Mini Countryman.
Yeah.
Similar engine, 2-liter, except it has less horsepower than the one you found on the standard coupe, which is also known as the 230.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really strange way BMW's been trying to sell their gateway vehicles.
Yeah, it's really kind of an entry level into the brand, I believe. Found it for just commuting around the Phoenix area. It did the job. The AC did its job, thank goodness. What was interesting though, if you were to, start leaning into the throttle a bit, you're going to get some torque steer, which like, what? Haven't had torque steer in ages. So you probably would want to get the X-Drive version of this thing. So if you really wanted to be more enthusiastic,
or get something with a rear wheel drive bias.
Absolutely. So we'll have more information about this particular vehicle on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that.
Okay.
Now we're going to talk to a guest of ours. We have Alex Bellus, who is a photographer, and we're going to show you that interview that we had with him now. All right, we're joined right now by Alex Bellus. He's an automotive photographer who's based here in the Twin Cities, but his work is known internationally. So we want to get to know more about this guy and find out what he's all about. So thank you, Alex, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great. We've known each other for a long time, so this is fun to actually get to do this.
Absolutely.
Certainly. I mean, we go back 15 years, I believe.
Yeah, something like that, for sure.
Great. The first question I really want to ask is, what got you into cars?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I think it was Hot Wheels and bicycles. My dad and I used to buy this is, I suppose, before Craigslist was even a thing, but we would, find at like yard sales and stuff, we'd find old bicycles and bring them home and strip the paint off and paint them kind of like old hot rods and stuff. So the one I really remember is this old Schwinn that we stripped all the paint off and painted it matte black with flames on it and like gold wheels and kind of some cool accents and stuff like that. So it was kind of, for me as a, I don't know, 6, 7, 8-year-old or whatever, it was sort of the closest approximation of hot rodding I could do, obviously because I couldn't drive. And then, yeah, the Hot Wheels was kind of a part of that, collecting those because, it's just an easy thing to grab when you're out shopping with your parents or whatever. And then, yeah, that was kind of the start of it. Yeah. And it's funny because looking back now on that, I have, during COVID, I kind of got back into collecting Hot Wheels. My parents moved down to Arizona during COVID and they gave me a box of my old toys, and I was going through it and I found a bunch of Hot Wheels, and some of them were like cars that I had shot, or one of them was a 944 Turbo, which I own now. And I'm like, oh, how cool is this? I wonder if, having this car or having this toy as a kid kind of influenced my decision to buy the car down the road kind of subconsciously. Yeah, now I have in my office at home, I've got just this massive rows, like an entire wall basically taken up of Hot Wheels, and it's a color gradient from like colors of the rainbow all the way across, and lighter to darker, top to bottom. And
that's a fun
it's like
way.
1,500 Hot Wheels, I think. And
Wow.
yeah, those little like $1 cars add up if you buy enough of them. But anyway, that was, I think I would attribute that to probably how I got into cars.
And conversely, how did that parlay into photography?
Yeah. So the love of cars was kind of, I had always, I wanted to be a car designer or a race car driver or something in the car industry. I always knew I wanted to do something in the car industry. And I realized that being a race car driver was probably it wasn't super viable. Being a car designer would be fun, but I couldn't draw for crap. So I went to school for automotive engineering, figuring that was the safest, most direct route into working with cars. And while I was in school, I had a friend that worked at the school paper, and he was a photographer for the school paper and was showing me all the cool pictures he was taking. And so that kind of inspired me to get into photography and go to car shows with my camera and take pictures there. And then just kind of networking and getting to know people. I think my first paid shoot was with the Minnesota Audi Club in a parking garage in Hopkins. And they paid me basically just gas money to drive up from school for the weekend. So I attribute that to being my first paid gig, I guess.
Oh, cool. And what time frame was that?
That was, I want to say, so I was still in college. So that was probably 06 2006, maybe.
Oh,
yeah.
way back.
Yeah,
Okay.
2006.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that was around the time Cars and Coffee was getting started, and yeah, so I got really ingrained with like Tyler and Lewis when they were running Cars and Coffee, and yeah, was the official photographer of Cars and Coffee for a number, 10, 12 years, something like that. So
Wow.
yeah.
And I interacted with you through MNVW,
Mm-hmm.
and you were doing photo shoots for MNVW, and you did photo shoots when I was doing some motocross with that. And
That's right,
bought
yeah.
some photos from you of me doing autocross.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember what was the rock chip rally or something that Lincoln put on back then?
Right.
I think it was me and Jacob from Golden Peaks in the back of a Chrysler Pacifica that Lincoln was driving us around and shooting photos out the back. That was a fun
remember
one.
that.
Oh man, that was a good throwback. That was a good time.
And that was kind of funny because I think you had some tethers to keep you guys into the.
I hope I don't remember exactly, but I hope so. I hope I was smart enough to wear a tether back then. I can't say I always wear one now, but I'm usually as I've gotten older, I've become a little more risk averse. So I'll just usually just kind of look out, like be still seated and just kind of hang the camera out of the car, which gets the job done.
Oh, absolutely. No, that was fun days.
Yeah.
Those are some fun times. So starting with the Audi Club, I mean, the photos kept on getting better and better and better. And the opportunities became more and more over the time. Walk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just came down to practice and consistency. And I think, I don't know if I'd call it necessarily I guess kind of like I would call it a bigger break for me was at Cars and Coffee. Bruno, the guy who owned the Motorplex where Cars and Coffee was hosted,
Yes.
Rented a helicopter. Like he would rent a helicopter once a year because I think he had a buddy who was a pilot or something. And this was before they had finished building all the businesses up at the entrance to the Motorplex. And so they used that as sort of a makeshift helipad. And he asked if I wanted. Yeah, this was probably 08 or 09, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, so I was in town for Cars and Coffee, and he asked if I wanted to go up in a helicopter and shoot down over the show and get air. And this was before drones were a thing. So I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And while we were up there, there's a guy that had pulled in with an orange Lamborghini Aventador, and somehow the timing worked out, the placement worked out, and I just shot this cool image, just looking straight down on this orange Aventador, and there's just this huge crowd of people around it. And I got home and I played around with it a little bit to make the orange pop a little bit more, and kind of, it just ended up being a kind of a neat image. And somehow the owner of the car found it, and it turns out he was insanely wealthy and had a bunch of other stuff. And we kind of chatted back and forth, and I'm like, oh, do you ever? I was doing some amateur racing up at Brainerd and other racetracks and stuff at the time, and I was like, oh, do you ever take these cars out on track? Because how cool would that be? And he hadn't yet, but I convinced him that would be worth doing, and so he organized a track day for a bunch of his friends, and they all flew into town and drove up to the track, and he brought all of his supercars and let all of his friends drive them, and he hired me to go up and shoot the event. And again, got to hang out of a helicopter shooting a parade of supercars going around BIR. And yeah, that was really fun. That was kind of one of my first, I guess, like bigger clients, kind of starting off with that stuff.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I can basically say here that the rest is history.
Yeah. Although I haven't been in any helicopters since. It's been, gosh, 15 years. And I don't think I've been in a helicopter since, but
haven't needed to, really.
Yeah, I haven't needed to. Yeah, now drones are a thing, and yeah, it's a lot cheaper to fly a drone than it is to rent a helicopter.
Right.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, and again, as I keep on saying, is that the art, we're not just talking about taking photos now with you. The art has gotten, and it's improved. It's deeper.
Sure.
I mean, there's something what you're doing is taking an automobile, no matter what automobile it is, and not just creating art, but also creating emotion out of it.
Trying to, anyway. Yeah.
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 Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, a lot of other photography disciplines, whether it's wedding or portrait or nature, that kind of stuff, at least from my perspective, seems a little more straightforward. Not to throw shade or anything like that, because each discipline has its own creative challenges that go along with it. But cars are basically a big mirror, so you have to kind of be aware of your surroundings and the way the light hits the different character lines and curves on the car, and So just for me, it's always been trying to focus on how to best accent those lines and really make and I love a brightly colored car. I mean, there's definitely a time and a place for white, black, silver, gray, that kind of stuff. But man, I love some of the crazy color palettes that are out there for different manufacturers. So finding a brightly colored car and making sure that it pops and just capturing it just right. I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that really gets me going. And I think too, it's the car is obviously the subject of most of my work, but I've been trying really hard lately to include more of the background and atmosphere around the car too, so that it looks more like instead of a car placed in a scene, it's a scene that happens to have a car in it. So yeah.
It's beautiful.
I did see your recent Cannonball dump
Oh
of
yeah.
photos, and there was like a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really interesting because it helps kind of share what the experience is from a people perspective, just what's
Absolutely.
going on,
Yeah.
rather than just hunks of metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Cars are absolutely gorgeous in their own right and have their place, but, they sort of just function as sculpture if you don't factor in the driver, and the driver is what makes puts the cars in motion. And that's kind of the reason they exist, is to move people. So, finding a way to include the people along with that is definitely an important aspect, I think.
Absolutely. And not just the driver, of course, as you say, people. We're talking even random people that just happen to be there. You throw them in the photo.
Sure.
And of course, you have to remember, oh, shoot, I got to go get a model release.
I don't always do that. Sometimes I shoot at a lower f-stop, or a larger aperture, I should say, so that people in the background kind of get blurred out, so you don't really see their faces. But yeah. If I'm working with talent, then yes, I will. The model releases are very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it helps tell the story too, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think just as a static object by themselves, again, as beautiful as they are, it's the kind of the interaction that we have with cars that, is the important part and tells the story. Because again, cars are a vehicle for, us to have met and all that kind of stuff, and all these great relationships that we're able to form in the car community.
Now, this work has taken you far flung. I mean, basically across oceans now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really fortunate in that regard. I never expected to be able to travel to Europe for a month and bomb around to all the different car museums and factory tours and stuff like that. But yeah, I've been really lucky with both mostly just like the clients I've met and friends I've made and that kind of stuff. It's amazing what a camera and some passion where that will take you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking Ferrari, Lamborghini, Pagani, on
Yeah,
and on.
yeah. One of my clients was able to connect me with the Bugatti factory, and I was able to go tour that, which was really, really fascinating and really fun. No cameras allowed, so I wasn't able to take any pictures there, but that's okay. That's okay. It was the memories will live for a long time, so that was really fun.
Kind of like when I toured the Volkswagen Wolfsburg factory. No
Oh,
cameras.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, oh, but yeah, it lives on in your head.
Yep. Yeah, they're picky about that with most of the factory tours. I think they don't let you bring cameras anyway, but the facilities and the museums and that kind of stuff are all really cool and interesting. You can snap pictures there most of the time. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I got a nerdy technical question
Sure.
for you. So, what is your favorite camera equipment that you like, and what are you working with right now?
Yeah. So I actually recently sold off a bunch of my older DSLR gear. I switched to mirrorless cameras maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I bought a Nikon Z9, and that's kind of been my main workhorse camera. And then I turned 40 just a couple weeks ago. And so for my 40th birthday this year, I bought a Hasselblad X2D 100C, which is a hand-built Swedish mirrorless camera that, medium format. It's 100 megapixels, and it's just
My God.
yeah,
Wow.
it's kind of slow, and I hate to say it, it's a slow and clunky kind of camera to use, but it forces me to really kind of be in the moment and really focus on exactly how I want to craft the image that I'm going to take and make sure it counts.
There's more manualness to it.
Yeah, a little bit, and also there's just there's less clutter, there's less buttons. The autofocus is really, really slow, so a lot of times I'll just use manual focus. And but yeah, the files are huge, the colors are phenomenal. It's been a really fun camera to shoot with. unfortunately I could only afford one lens so far, and it was literally the cheapest kind of kit lens that they make for it. But yeah, I want to expand that, I think, down the road, and yeah, try some other lenses with it and see if that changes how I feel about it. But yeah, it's a
Is
good
it
camera.
different than full frame lenses?
Yeah. So because it's medium format, it's a huge sensor. And so it takes a very specialized kind of lens. They're called leaf shutter lenses. So the shutter mechanism is actually in the lens itself, which is partially why they're so expensive. But yeah, it allows for some interesting features like really fast flash sync. So if I'm shooting with a strobe or something like that, I can my mirror, like my Nikon, for instance, I can only shoot at up to like 1/250th of a second and still use the strobe. Otherwise, the actual shutter will start to like well, the Z9 doesn't have a shutter, but traditionally cameras, the shutter movement isn't fast enough to go any faster than that. And so you start getting like these black bands in the picture when you're using flash. But with the leaf shutter, the shutter mechanism opens and closes differently, so you can shoot at a much higher speed and still use flash. So it's really good for like freezing action and stuff like that. But the camera is very slow, so you don't necessarily shoot a lot of action. It's a really good like studio camera, and I don't know. It's fun to take it to car shows and flex with it a little bit, because it's a weird looking camera that you don't see very often.
Wow.
That's a heck of a flex too.
Yeah, I was down in Knoxville a couple weeks ago shooting the Porsche Platica event down there, and I had both my cameras with me, and I was walking around just snapping pictures throughout the day. And Singer had, I think, sponsored like one of the buildings, or they had a new Singer turbo inside this building, and there's a really cool angle where like the door you walk into the building, the car was lined up perfectly with the entrance. And I was trying to line up a shot, but obviously there's a ton of people there. There's thousands of people at this event, so they're walking in kind of out of frame, because there's a garage door they could walk in, and there's the main front door. And I was trying to line up this shot, and there's this young kid who was maybe, I don't know, probably between 12 and 14, who was standing there also trying to get a similar shot. And I was kind of teasing him, like, you're never going to get the shot. It's not going to work out. It's always going to be too busy. And then, like, as soon as I said that, the crowd kind of parted, and he managed to get the shot. I'm like, oh, now's the time. You got to take it. And so he got the shot he needed, and he turned back to look at me, and he saw the Hasselblad. And he's like, oh, look at this guy just flexing with the Hasselblad. It's fun, whatever. It's a tool, but yeah. Anyway, that was a really fun event for me. I got asked to come down by some of the organizers and had a really good time there. There was prior to the show, there was a cruise through Tail of the Dragon and Cherahole Skyway and kind of Smoky Mountain Range. And I didn't really have a plan for how I was going to shoot it or what I was going to do. And so I just kind of showed up, and luckily there was a guy with an empty seat in his 1969, I think, 911 race car. And so I hopped in with him, and we had a great time cruising around, and ended up on Tail of the Dragon right behind a Carrera GT.
Wow.
So following that glorious V10 through the entirety of Tail of the Dragon was really, really cool. And then the next day they rented out a racetrack. I think it's Flat Rock Motorsport Park or something like that. It's a private racetrack in the area. And they brought out 2 Porsche 962 race cars, and a bunch of other just amazing cars, and had some lapping sessions. And then after lunch, we got to do some media laps with them. So that was really fun getting out with. There's a bunch of other photographers that were down there that I had either known through social media or had been wanting to meet, and so it was cool to get to meet some of these guys and put faces with the screen names and whatever, and ride around in the back of a pickup truck around a racetrack, trying not to fall out while shooting these $1 million cars.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That was pretty fun. Yeah.
Has there been a time that I guess has been kind of a questionable way to shoot photos that you want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely been like challenges along the way, and there's definitely been periods of burnout. But for the most part, I really love cars, and that's kind of been the part that keeps me going, and meeting other car people. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely been times where I've been out in massive storms trying to get the shot, or I did a shoot with Tesla a handful of years ago, and I want to say it was for like, they had me shooting like a specific wheel and tire package that they were going to, like a winter wheel and tire setup that they were going to offer in Norway. So it was like I was with the Tesla North America crew, but we were shooting for, I think, a campaign in like for Tesla Norway or something like that. So we started off shooting some stuff around Minneapolis, and then we went up to the North Shore of Lake Superior and ended up on the Gunflint Trail. And it was like 20 below zero, and we're out there. There's no paved roads at that point. And it's snowing, and the cars are trying to keep the car clean. We're trying to use like spray wax to clean the salt and stuff off, but that just freezes on contact. And then you try to wipe it and it just smears. And oh my God, that was so rough that I'm just going to have to rely on Photoshop at this point to try to make the car look halfway decent. But yeah, that was it was a fun shoot, but that was a big struggle. And then at the end of the shoot, I got the car stuck on a frozen lake for 2 hours. And I felt really bad about it because, I'm with a bunch of people from California who are not necessarily dressed for the weather.
Oh, no.
And
great.
And then, of course, it was my idea to pull it out on the frozen lake because we drove by this restaurant and bar and restaurant, and that was right on a lake. And there was like pretty wide snowmobile tracks onto the lake. Like it looked like you could fit a car on it. And so I was like, this might be really cool. It's kind of approaching sunset. We could pull the car out on this frozen lake and have just a beautiful scenery with, snow-covered trees at sunset. It would look really, really cool. And so I went inside to the restaurant. And I'm like, hey, can we pull a car on the lake? And basically the guy kind of, he was like, I wouldn't do that, but hey, man, it's a free country. You can do what you want. I'm like, all right, that wasn't a no. So let's try it. Let's see what happens. And, I don't know exactly what a Tesla weighs off the top of my head. It was a Model 3 Performance, but basically we got it a good 10 feet from the boat launch, and it sunk up to the battery pack in snow. And the wheels were just spinning. So, as a team of, I think there's probably 5 of us maybe, spent about 2 hours trying to dig the thing out and get it off the lake. And we eventually succeeded, but I felt like a complete moron for even suggesting that in the first place, and didn't get the shot either because it was just, we were too busy just trying to get it free. But
well, you got to take a risk sometimes to get the best shot.
In theory, it would have been really cool, but doesn't always work out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, what about everything you do is still? Have you ever thought about video?
I've played around with it a little bit. It's nice because my Hasselblad, for instance, doesn't do any video, has no video features whatsoever, but my Nikon Z9 has really, really great video features. So I've started to play around and dabble with some video stuff over the last, let's just call it 6 months. Nothing that I'm, is going to change the world or anything like that, but it's kind of fun to take some little clips and, play around with them in Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere and load them up on Instagram and see if anybody likes them. So, yeah.
Would you like to do some videography for us?
I think you've got a pretty good setup going. It seems to work for you.
I couldn't think of a better person, but
well, I know, but he's great. I mean,
we can't afford him, but
no, I agree. I mean, it would be nice to have you do some stills of some of the work, but unfortunately, we haven't had anything interesting for a little bit. So, and you are expensive. But here's the thing about you is that you are now your own business, or you've been for a while.
Yeah. Yep. It took me about 12 years of working kind of corporate jobs until I felt like I was able to, or I felt safe enough, I should say, to take that leap and go full-time freelance and run my own business. I mean, I'd been running my own business, but when I was working full-time and then also had a full-time photography career I was trying to manage, it got to be pretty tough to, spend time with family or have a life at all outside of working. And then, it was about 6 or 7, it was about 6 years ago, when I had the opportunity to kind of step away from corporate life, and I had enough of a client base built up that I was like, hey, if we could create some sort of arrangement where I could come work for I had a couple different clients that I was like, hey, can we set something up where I'll just come shoot for you guys like once a week or something, and we kind of go from there. And it all kind of started to fall into place, and I took that leap. So
yeah. And and of course you still maintain that client base today, of course.
Yep.
And I think I remember running into you when I was doing a car review with Maury's.
Yeah. I was with Maury's for a long time, with their corporate marketing team for about 5 years. And, management had changed, I think, a little bit.
Yep.
And, they kind of deprioritized some of the marketing stuff that we were doing. And there's kind of a bit of a mass exodus. I think of the 14 or so people that I worked with, all but 2 of them left. So yeah, I was kind of in that camp and jumped ship to that. It just seemed like a good time to do my own thing. I was kind of planning on making my exit regardless, in the near future. It moved up my timeline a few months. So ended up not being an issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about what you're doing now.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of cool things going on.
Yeah. I'm still trying to, put together some other opportunities for the summer. Usually the summer is kind of, especially living up in Minnesota. I mean, I do travel, but, most of my work is around the Twin Cities. And, so the summer gets busy and the winter gets kind of quiet, but, I got some rallies coming up. I'm going to go shoot Crown Rally North here in August. I think that goes from Salt Lake City up to Glacier National Park. And I think literally so I shoot that and then I'm home for like a day and then I go up to Bemidji to shoot the Ojibwe rally, which is like off-road rally. So kind of a different genre there. So I've got some fun stuff I'm looking forward to in August and some other opportunities that I can't quite discuss just yet, but, I don't want to count the chickens before they hatch or whatever, but, I don't know. A lot of my work too is with like Bring a Trailer. I work really closely with them. And there's a, Mill Race is a new garage, like storage and sales and service place that opened up in St. Louis Park. And I've been working really closely with them for the last 6 months to a year or so. And they're a Bring a Trailer partner now. So, they get a bunch of listings funneled through them and I'm lucky enough to get to shoot all of them for them. And so that's been really fun and keeping me kind of busy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And people will maybe contact you if they want photo sets of their vehicle, if they're going to be selling it on whichever platform that they want.
Yeah. I just shot a 97 Miata. That's like a 2-owner car. That was in really, really nice shape. And the guy, I guess, found me because he asked Claude AI who the best photographer is. So according to Claude, I'm the best photographer in Minneapolis, just in case you were wondering.
Well, at least Claude knows something.
Yeah, we could vouch for Claude.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big proponent of AI until I found that out this morning. I'm like, all right, AI. I'm on team AI now. Okay, cool.
Ah, jeez. I will say that we saw some photos recently and on your social of your work. I don't know if we would call it work, but you were at the Detroit Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And you took some astounding photos.
Well, thank you. I was there with the Cannonball Rally. Tyler, a guy that we've both known for a very long time, has organized this rally for 10 plus years now. And this time we were out, we took the SS Badger across Lake Michigan. We loaded up on this big ferry and ended up going to the Detroit Grand Prix. We went for the IMSA day, not the Indy day, although, I mean, I would have been happy to be at either one. But yeah, it was kind of an interesting deal because we showed up for the race and I didn't even need my race ticket. We had parking pass for this parking garage and we got out of our cars and I looked out, the side of the parking garage and there's pit lane and there's the finish line and turn 8 and 9 we could see from there. And I could see where the grandstands where our tickets were for. And it was in the hot baking sun. And I'm like, I feel like this is maybe a better place to hang out, for the next, cause I didn't have media passes. I wasn't like shooting client work or anything like that. So I was just snapping some pictures for fun anyway. And, being in a shaded parking garage with incredible views of the race, I'm like, yeah, might as well just hang out here. So,
and no one shooed you away or nothing.
No, there's actually, there's people like tailgating in there, like they had the grills out and big tables and crock pots full of chili and whatever. As I kind of worked my way up the different floors of the parking garage, I found more and more people that were gracious enough to give me some snacks even.
Nice.
Yeah. And before we go, just to let y'all know, if you have not seen the interview with Tyler, go up here in the corner and link to the episode that he is in. It's a fascinating interview as well.
Yeah, Tyler's a good guy. He's got a lot of good stories.
Certainly
Absolutely.
does.
Now, if people want to reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
The easiest place to find me is probably on Instagram, Alex Bellus Photo, or my website, alexbellusphoto.com.
And is that where they can see samples of your work
Yep.
and all that?
Yep. I've got all my, or not all of, but I have a lot of my portfolio available on my website, and they can see kind of my latest and greatest stuff that I've been working on Instagram. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff out there. So you got to check it out.
thanks.
Well, thanks, Alice.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being on.
Of course. This was really fun, guys.
And,
Thanks for having me.
It's great to see talent like yourself here in the Twin Cities.
Oh, thank you.
Especially for the years that we've known you and seen your work and seen you hustle and all that. And
And watching you grow into these new opportunities.
right,
It's really
exactly.
cool.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex, for joining us on this podcast. We're so glad you'll be able to share your thoughts and your views with us. Well, here it is, the 13th episode of our podcast. If you like what you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and a notification bell in order to find out what our next video is coming up. We do reviews, we do some other content, including podcasts. Now, if you're listening, make sure you're subscribed to that podcast through your favorite podcast app. We are on all platforms, so you know. Our website, victoryandreseda.net. A lot of written material from reviews, history, news, commentary, personal thoughts. It's all out there on the website. And our social media. We are on Facebook and Instagram as well.
And if you are listening to the audio podcast, consider checking out the video version because we have more types of visual things going on because we're showing some B-roll footage of the vehicles that we're talking about, as well as enjoying some of the visual gags. So with that, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode as well as in our other media outlets.
Thank you for watching.